Alright everybody, I thought today that I would show you how I make my hardcovers and how I turn this into this. And that's what we're doing today. We're making a case binding. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can do that. You can go to the art store. You can buy a chipboard, which is what these books are made out of. This is chipboard. And you can use that, or you can do what I do and you can just recycle old books that nobody wants anymore. You can get them very, very cheap at secondhand stores here in the US, and I would recommend doing that. And then you can use the insides of the book for more pages for junk journaling or for gluing off on or whatever you want. And I'm going to show you how I take them out, because this book I believe is the right size for this. Yes, it's ever so slightly taller. This is just too wide. I'll just trim that down. It'll be perfect. Alright, so get my little box of wonder out, and I'm just going to use a pair of scissors. And you just go in. I think this might be glued to the spine, but we'll see. So you're just going to go right next to that part there and cut. I know the first time I gutted a book, I felt horrible, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. I have seen people just punch holes in an old book in the spine. They'll just punch holes in it and then bind their book, basically sew their signatures in directly onto the spine. And I don't recommend doing that because this is probably the weakest part of the book. So you can see that it's really just a little piece of cardboard, like very thin cardboard glued onto the book cloth, and that's the spine of the book. I just really would not recommend sewing it to that because the spine will take a lot of pressure from being opened and closed constantly. So that's not how I prefer to do it. But if you like to do it that way, by all means, then, you know, it's a free country, do what you want. So you can see in here, I don't know if you can see these fibers, but that's called mull, which is this. And I have some of that because I'm going to use it. Books to look out for are these Reader's Digest books. This is one I got. It's from 1981. And these make great books that you can gut and use. But anyway, there's a certain kind of binding that you can do that uses these, but I'm not going to use this one because I don't feel like it's incredibly attractive. But okay, I'm going to go off camera and cut these to the size I want them. So off camera, I trimmed this down a little bit, and I trimmed these down so that they're all the same size. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these aside and we'll come back to them later. So for the spine, I'm using recycled cardboard basically. So I'm going to add two more additional layers on top of this, just to give it a little bit more stability. Just because I know the last one that I made, it wasn't great. As a hobby, I've always kind of found books. Like I would make my own sketchbooks, I would make my own journals, stuff like that. So I just want to make this a little bit more sturdy. No one's going to see this part of the book, so it does not need to be pretty or anything. Right. So here is my spine. So in this book, I've made ridges, which you can see here. And I'm going to show you how I did that so that if you want to do it, you can. I use some sort of rope at Hobby Lobby, but I use that and glue. And I use this glue because I like it. This glue, by the way, is acetone based. So if you have it and it gets really thick and sticky and you're like, oh, I'm going to throw it out, don't do that. Just add a little bit of acetone to it and mix it up and it'll be good to go. All right, the reason why I wanted this is because this gives me the spacing for my holes. And I'm going to use this side. So, just going to line it up, draw my holes. I don't use all 6. I won't use these 2. I don't know why I thought I needed to draw them, but whatever. Right. So now what I do, now that I have my spacing for my rope, is I just draw a line of glue between the 2 holes, and then I put the rope on and I make sure that the rope goes all the way to the edge. And then I cut it. Normally this glue grabs really quick. Now you can pick any pattern you like to put these on. Back in the medieval times, they used to use these ropes to sew the signatures on with, and this is just kind of like a faux medieval spine, okay? And also they would stretch leather over top of this, and I have done that. But today we're just doing a faux look because that's fun. You can also use hot glue for this if you want to. I just personally like this glue, so I'm using it. I never can keep a good manicure because I'm always crafting, and I always ruin a good manicure, so I don't even try anymore. I'd rather craft, it's more fun. Alrighty. Alright, so once these are on there, it'll take a few minutes for them to dry, which is fine. Because what we're going to do now, just let that sit there for a few minutes. And this is what I'm going to cover it with. This is literally a piece of canvas that I have washed and tried to iron, but darn it, didn't want to iron right. So I'm going to lay out my little plan here. And this is going to go this way onto here. But for now, okay. For now we're going to put it here. I just want to make sure I have enough fabric so that when I put it on, it's not going to be too small or anything. Just going to eyeball the center. marking this and that so that when I put this down like that onto the canvas, I'm going to make sure I have enough room on all sides. Okay, so now what I have to do is literally drench this, and I'm going to take this little tiny little thing off, and I'm probably going to have to go grab some more glue, and you want to make sure and get the ropes too. Don't be afraid to use the glue. You buy it to use it, so use it. Okay, so here we go. You want a large amount of glue on there because you have to get the fabric to mold over it. All right. By the way, that gray thing that I'm using is from the art store, and I think they use it in like linoleum printing. I don't know for sure. Now we're going to flip this over. And what you want to do is you want to go in here and squeeze those on. All right, and now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to use this too. All right. So we want that to be nice and crisp when we do it. So I take some, this is just some butcher's twine. So I'm going to pull this down. We want to wrap this around each one. To do this properly, you would have this in a vise type device that would hold this in place while you're over here wrapping it. And you would have pegs on the sides that you would catch the twine on, and it would be so much nicer and so much more chic. So we're just doing this. We're wrapping it. Don't wrap it too tight because your twine will break. Trust me, I know. And you can go back over it a couple times if you want to. Alright, so we're just going to let that sit and dry. I am going to take, I'll use my ruler, I guess. I'm just kind of push it against that inset that I have there. See how much nicer that looks? Alright, now we just let it dry. So I'm going to just cut this because I've noticed this gets weaker the more you use it, and I've used it like 4 times, so I'm just going to cut it off. I'll use it now for decoration in my junk journal. Okay. I will admit, ribs with canvas look kind of strange. I'm really used to seeing it with leather covers, but I didn't want to use leather because I wanted to use something that everybody pretty much has access to. And so here we are. Alright, so for this next part, it's a little bit tricky. So what I have here is 2 pieces of book. It's actually from the last junk journal that I made, and I glued them together because I need this to be the correct spacing between the spine and the cover. So I'm going to use this to space it like that. But I'm going to need some more glue, so I'll be right back. It's made in the USA, Lineco. You can get it at www.lineco.com. Not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. I just really like this glue. And just like that, your little baby bot is full. I love my baby bot. Also not sponsored. Nothing I do is sponsored, guys. Alright, so we're going to put a lot of glue on this baby. And I like the glue to go right off the edge, so that's what I do. Okay, so I'm going to put this between here. This glue does grab really fast, so you have to work fast. Just want to make sure there's no air bubbles. That looks good. Now we're going to do the other side. You can get these bottles, these glue bottles, in different sizes. I just have the 4-ounce bottle. They have a 16 and an 8-ounce as well. And I think I said I got it off of Amazon, but I don't remember. Kind of awkward. Story of my life. I think that's what they're going to put on my tombstone. Here lies Jennifer Harvey. Kind of awkward. Okay. Now because this is canvas, when it's all done, you can totally paint it. Acrylic paint works fine and everything. I don't like the way acrylic paint feels, so I don't use that. I don't even paint them. I kind of stenciled on one, the last one that I made, and I like that look, but I don't like the way acrylic paint feels, so I just don't do it. Alright, so it's looking a little bit rough right now, but we're going to clean it up. Don't worry. So here we have our spine and our 2 outside covers. Now we're going to trim this down. I don't like talking while I'm working. That makes it so hard. Kudos to all you ladies out there who make these videos while you're crafting and you're talking the entire time. Like, good job, guys, because I'm struggling. I don't know how you do it. Oh, you ladies who thought there was nothing I can't do. Yes, there is. I can't craft and talk. And a few other things. Alright. So I'm just basically trying to give the same amount around the sides so that I can cut it off and it's going to be even all around. So, multi-purpose tool, and all it is chipboard, 2 pieces of chipboard glued together. Okay, here we go. I have longer scissors at home that I prefer for this kind of a thing. But I do love these Tim Holtz scissors. I got them at Hobby Lobby. All right, and I save this because I use it to make fabric tabs out of for my junk journal. So don't throw this away. Okay, so my nephew has a 3D printer. And so I used it to print these. And you can get these on Etsy. I've seen them. This is just to give you the right space between the board and the edge, which I think that is gonna work. But I have seen these on Etsy. They were even 3D printed on Etsy, but I like them because it makes it goof proof, you know? Save that. You can use it in your junk journal. Makes it really cute, especially if you fray around the edges, like the way this is. Okay, 2 more. We're in the home stretch, guys. This is my favorite part of making a case binding. I don't know why this is my favorite part, but it is. Okay. There are a bunch of other kinds of book covers that I like to do as well, but I'm showing you this one because I feel like it's the easiest to explain. Even though I'm not really doing a very good job of explaining, I'm more like showing, kind of rambly telling. But anyway, you know what I mean, right? All right, so we're gonna put our glue on here, and I make sure to get these little bits right here. I use my spreader. And I like to start at the short end. I don't know why. And then you just take that part there and you push it down around that corner. And then you're going to end up with beautiful corners. You're not going to see this yellow cover at all, much to my delight, because I'm not a huge fan of yellow. I don't hate it, just not a huge fan. Okay. I'm going to make sure and get glue. You can use a bone folder to kind of push that down, but I just like to use my fingers. I don't want these to be trapped underneath the end papers, so I'm trying to take them off because they'll show up. And I don't really want them to. Stuck to me. Okay. All right. So now we're going to do the long ends. Just want to get all that glue off of there so that I can use this to really smush that down. Looks really good. My corners look fabulous. Couldn't be happier with them, honestly. All right. And I'm saying that in a humble way, I promise you, because I have done so many corners that look like garbage that when you do a nice one, you need to pat yourself on the back, okay? You want to get this glue absolutely everywhere. You want it to be completely covered. And I love this thing. It was worth, I don't know, however much I paid for it. I think it was like 10 bucks. Worth it. I use it all the time. All the time. Maybe I should name it. In my house, my husband can find absolutely everything. And if I named this, I'd be like, Mark, I can't find Toby. He'll be like, Who's Toby? Sorry, I entertain myself. It's even all the way around. Ideally, you would have kept those strings on here overnight. I don't have overnight, so I'm kind of rushing through this so that you can get the idea of how it's done. But you see how much wider this is? Like if you had made your case binding before making your text block, you would have been tempted to make it smaller. And then you would have ended up with a gator mouth when it was done, because this would have been pinched and this would have spread apart. So I know it looks weird, but once this is full of all the stuff, you will be thankful that you did it this way. I want this to be snug all the way in the back like that. I want it to be snug up against there, but I don't want to glue it against there, because if I glue it, then it won't open and be flat. So we don't glue this to the spine. We're going to glue these tabs down and then glue the end papers over like that. And it's going to be beautiful. Make sure it's set in there properly, the way I want it to be. And then I'm going to put them all down first. So I'm going to put down a bunch of glue. And I'm going to put glue on top of here. And I'm only going to put the glue on this side of the hinge. And then I'm putting glue all across this entire page. I'm going to go from the center out. I want to make sure and get this entire edge. I'm pretty sure that this book is 30% glue. Okay. And normally you would cut this so that it's slightly smaller, but, well, this is a junk journal and there are no rules. You don't have to do it that way. If I were making a regular journal or a sketchbook, I would. Push it in there, work it in, get all the air bubbles out. Okay, and that's one side done. Now I happen to know that this paper is too long, because it's an A4 size paper, so I'm probably gonna have to tear it. Should have trimmed it before I did it. This is actually Tomoe River paper. I would have normally used like scrapbook paper, but because I'm not at home and I'm here, I have to use what I have. and I had this available, so I'm using this. I have so much glue on my fingers I can barely grab stuff. Oh my. Alright, so that just adds to the torn charm of junk journals. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. And that is pretty much it. It is done. Alright, so what I would do if the pages are too long is I would just take a ruler and just come in and tear them. And then it would just add to the charm of junk journals. I've added twine around here. I wanted it to stay flush while it's drying. And now I'm going to let this dry. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of my bumbling through this tutorial / just showing you kind of how I do things. I don't know, my daughter might see it and steal it from me, so we'll see. Basically did the exact same method with this one. And then what I did at the end to make it look a little more grungy, I kind of stenciled it. What did I use? Distress inks. Distress, you know, the distress pads and the little foamy thing. Yeah, technical terms. I'm really good at them. That glue here too. Oh, yeah. And then I just kind of grunged it up around the edges and just tried to make it look older than it is. Those are my end pages. I normally would use scrap paper, and that's what I used here. It turned out pretty good, I think. Also, all of these pages were done before I made the case binding for it. And it was a lot easier to do, to be honest, to have this done. And that's how it looks there. You can decorate this any way that you want. They're the same canvas. So 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. That's what size this one is. That's my favorite size to use for junk journaling. I just like the size. I want to see if there's a page in here that I can show you. Yeah, a 5-inch square picture. So I have a lot of pictures in this one. Anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this. Hopefully you guys liked it, and get into junk journaling, because it's not really junk journaling. It's just journaling. I mean, you can take these pages and put photographs. You can do paper crafts and make beautiful things out of paper and then glue them on here and then journal on them. Or you can just journal on each page. You could use this for a bullet journal if you wanted to, or a personal journal, or a cookbook, or, you know, whatever you want it to be, it can be. And, you know, you can pick your papers that you use and use any paper that you want. It's just a really fun way to freely journal and not have to worry about if you mess something up or something. You know, I mean, like, look, that's all ripped, but I like that. I like the way that looks. It doesn't bother me at all. I like it. It just adds to the charm and the vintagey feel of it, and that it has a story to tell. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you so much for hanging out with me these last couple of weeks while we get this project done. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.